Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of All in All with Alex. I'm your host, of course, Alex. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Angela Marshall.
Hello, how are you, Alex?
I'm doing blessed. I cannot complain. How about yourself?
Hey, I am the same. Outstanding, loving life, and life loves me.
That's right. That's right. So, before we dive into it, can you give the people a brief background about yourself before we get into the question?
I am an individual who is on a path to grow better, to know better, to do better, and to become better. My name is Angela Marshall. I started on this journey, well, actually, I've been on this journey my entire life. However, I really started building my sense of awareness, I guess, if you would, for what I do, which is I'm a creative content consultant, as well as a speaker and a published best-selling author. I am 53 years young and wise, loving it. Just had a birthday November 8th. So, yay, all the Scorpios out there in the month of November, even though all year is November as we know it.
Yeah.
So, happy belated birthday to myself, loving life. I am a full time student of life. I love learning, I love giving. I love being taught how to do something better than I did it yesterday. Definitely am family oriented. I'm a former NFL. For those of you that are into the National Football League, I used to be married to Arthur Marshall. I wrote a book about it, The Story and Life of an Ex-NFL Wife, among other things. And I think I am an incredible soul that loves life and life loves her.
Okay. I like that. I like how you put it together. So, your book, Reality to Rags to Riches, tells the journey tells your tells the story of your journey from an NFL wife to a successful entrepreneur. Can you share a key lesson you learned during that transition?
The most important lesson that I learned is to be me, live vicariously through yourself. And that's in any journey. During that time of being an NFL, actually it started before that. So I can't even just say that, an NFL life taught me how to be a successful person, because it didn't. Like, it actually started before that. But making adjustments along the way, understanding why I needed to be 100% true to me first, is pivotal in everything. Live 100% vicariously through yourself. So many times we do what societal trends and, whatever their standards and ways of living and whatever else that they throw at us, and we're like, oh, okay, well, I need to be this, or my family needs to be that, my children need to be here, my business needs to be at this particular level or income. And while those things, may be good goals to have, especially if it's something that is going to help you to be better in those particular areas, but there are a lot of things, as we all know, out there in life where just because the infamous they say or they said, and so we try to follow that, follow that brand or follow that vision or follow those values, and it doesn't align with us. And I think that's why where a lot of the discord comes in at. And I found that to be very, very true during my journey as an NFL wife. Again, before that, I just didn't know it. It just became more prevalent during that life, because there's a lot of trends and different things, different standards that they have, in that life, good, bad, or otherwise. Hey, I guess, it just depends on the person. But for me, there were a lot of things that if I could go back into time during that space, which was roughly about 20 something years ago, I definitely would just be 100% me. There's this saying that I'm sure your viewers are well aware of, and it says, to thine own self be true. And then I add on, and to others be you, because I think that's so important.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree that it definitely is. So, you know, this is the first time I've ever had a conversation with a spouse of a athlete, or former or ex athlete. Or so, how does your experiences as an NFL wife shape your understanding of success and also self worth? Because I know with that, they're on the road a lot. They're always whether they're working out, whether they're on the road traveling to games, things like that. So there's a lot less communication and face to face seeing each other.
Will say that you in that lifestyle, you have to be very, very confident. You have to have a lot of trust and definitely understand the dynamics of it. Meaning, like you just said, birthdays, holidays, your spouse or your significant other may not be with you, and you have to be okay with that because you have to see the bigger picture. Now, I will admit, during that time, I did not understand that, he would be away for X amount of days or weeks or during the holidays. And I don't know why it just never resonated in my brain that that was going to be that's the way that it was going to be. With that being said, one of the greatest lessons that I learned being around NFL players or just people that are sports oriented is the ability to be resilient, to face adversity, to face obstacles, to get back up. Because a lot of times, and I know some people, even myself, I use this from time to time when I'm mentoring people about wins and losses. But now, knowing what I know and having that mindset from being around them, understanding that just because you may experience a loss does not mean that you're a loser or that you may have failed in something, but you're not a failure. And people in the sports world, sports arena in particular, or high achievers, they understand that 100%. And I love that about them. So that's one thing that's really translated as far as that lifestyle and just what it gave to me and what it actually continues to give to me is just the ability to see people in a different light. Because as you know, with sports, the sports arena is very diverse. So you have this group of people from all walks of life that believe from left to right to up to down, red, blue, and whatever else. Having the, I guess, compassion would be probably a good word, or just being understanding of other people's views and either how they rear their children or what they believe in, what they don't believe, or whatever the case is. Just understanding that that person is, and I'm going to go back to my motto, living vicariously through him or herself. And it's okay. If it's not impacting me in any way, it's not impeding anything that I've set up for myself, whatever you're choosing or they chose for their life, hey, have at it. So those are a couple of the things during that lifestyle that I actually was, aware of. And then I brought after that lifestyle, because my ex and I, we've actually been divorced probably about 22 years. And what's funny is the first 8 to 10 years of our divorce, it was so chaotic, so much discord and craziness, that kind of went on. But now, well, after that, after about 10 years, and then definitely now, the path that I'm on now, there's a deep appreciation for him. I see him as a person who gave me, who brought me along with that lifestyle and gave me an opportunity to see other things, to add on to my experience level so that I could sit before you and tell this story.
Right, but you why it seemed like it was echo, but yeah, um, yeah, that's interesting. You know what I mean? But that's a long time though. It's a
Yeah.
long time. Like 10 years of going back and forth. I know that was probably some very interesting yet still painful probably because how long were you all married?
So we were married, well, we dated 7 years before that, and we were married for 7.
Oh yeah, so you pretty much knew him all your life for the most part.
Absolutely. Met him.
Okay.
I met him when I was 15, about 16. Yep, 16 years old. I'm 53 now. So, yeah, I knew him a long time and was able to come into my own, I guess, if you would. And sometimes that happens. Unfortunately, and fortunately, because I know people that they met their significant onlys. They met them at 12, 13, 14, and I mean they still have a dynamic, wonderful relationship. And then others like myself, you meet that young, you're growing, he's growing, you grow apart. And
Mhm.
that just happened to us. And it's okay because like I said, now we have a better understanding. We're able to even though our children are adults, but we still, kind of give suggestions and advice and guidance to them. But we have 6 amazing grandchildren, and we're able to come together like we should have then, but definitely we do it now to make sure that we are setting very, very good examples and godly examples for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's life is all about learning it. Nobody knows it all. You learn it as you go. So, we all do things, and we look back and like, oh man, I could have did this different. Or I wish I would have looked at it like this back at that time frame. But it's part of life. Nobody ever has all the answers. We Yeah, we're just out here living, and we learn. Right, right. Um, you've been called the wise words woman. So, how do you approach using your words to inspire and motivate others?
Very carefully now.
Right,
And this is coming from a woman who, whatever came up would come out. So
right.
it took me many, many years. And I will admit, with my children in particular, ooh, sometimes that's still the case. Whatever come up, come out. But I try to be very, very methodical and intentional before I bring forth words. So that's how I was able to be labeled as a wise words woman. I have so many friends, clients, customers, connections that for me it's not just about, hey, selling you a book or coming to speak or any product that I may have available for you, but it's more so being in service to people and helping them to be their best selves. I get so excited with something that I've read because I'm like I mentioned earlier, I'm a lifetime student, so I'm constantly reading different books, and not just about self-help books, just documentaries from different achievers, learning what they went through and then how they got over, and then I'm so excited to impart and just influence others with those lessons. And so, wise words woman, I think that is a blessing and a curse because sometimes people look at that as you have the answer to everything. And we all know that that's not the case. So, sometimes when I'm speaking to people and then I'm like, no, I'm probably not going to expound on that, or I'm not going to give, I'm not going to give any advice on that. And they're like, well, but why? Like, what's the problem? I know you know it. And it's like, well, but I kind of want, let's let you figure that out for yourself. Because what I don't want is to impart something, words, suggestions, advice into someone, and then they think that that's all there is. Because usually, what we should be doing is you're supposed to process what is being spoken to you, then internalize it and make it your own. Like you're supposed to be adding on to that. So, and that's one of the goals. Like when I'm brought, booked or reserved to speak different events or on TV shows, radio shows, the goal is always the same. Like I want you to absolutely take my experiences, and I want you to take the lessons and the tips and the tools that I'm about to, that I share with you. But it shouldn't be, the end. It should be now you take those things and you build on them. So to me, that's true wise words woman.
I like that. I like that. So, in your work as a writer and creative consultant, what do you believe is the most powerful tool for helping people transform their lives?
Let's see. Really, just staying true to yourself. So if I am contracted to help someone, let's just say, because like I write speeches for politicians, I do slogans for businesses, I do resumes, different things like that. I feel like whatever we're writing, whatever we're creating should be a reflection of you. So even though maybe the topic isn't, but the way that we present it should be, and that's one of the things that I try to stay true to as it relates to being an example, coming across with all of the personalism, the professionalism, everything that's necessary to make it when I deliver it or I give it to you or we create it together, we bring it to life, it should reflect you, it should reflect me. And that's one of the things that I kind of, pride myself on, I guess, if you will, because my business, which is the name of my business, is In Other Words by Stone. And being a writer, being a content creator, yeah, I could come up with some very, very good and efficient and effective ways to grow your business, expand your business, words that would just, capture people's attention. But I want it to be reflective of my client, of my customer, of whatever the business or the organization is, because I think that, those that way it's more received, if that makes sense.
Okay. Can you share some of the challenges you faced as you transform from corporate life to running your own business?
Well, one is within my own mind, just thinking I can't do it. It's different with corporate. You're going to get a paycheck or whatever every 2 weeks or every week. Some benefits are going to come with that. So, there's pretty much a steady pay, or so we think, because at any moment, actually, that corporate job can go away as well. But in my mind, as an entrepreneur, it's like that's more stable. Now, with my entrepreneurship, sometimes the amount that I make may be this, then it may be this, then is, I'm looking like, ooh, where am I going to get the money for XYZ? And what I found going from corporate to entrepreneurship is just staying the course is a little, or was a little harder. I've been doing this since 2016 now, so obviously that's not as big of an issue. From time to time, I still do feel a little pinch, like, golly, this is a little bit more difficult for me to sustain than if I was working for someone else who would just be, okay, you do this amount of work and this is what I'm going to pay you for the salary. But then I revert back and I think about my freedom and my time that I have with being an entrepreneur. And then not only that, like, I actually get to set the rules and the policies for how I do things for my clients and my customers. And working for somebody else, I would have to follow their models, their procedures, and their policies, whatever that was in place. So I just love the freedom. I love the freedom that I have to be able to control my own time, control every aspect of what I want to do and how I want to do it.
Okay. Um, so with that, how are you able to balance your entrepreneurial career with being a community advocate, a mentor, a speaker? I mean, that's a lot of things. How are you able to balance out?
Well, if you think about it, they're all one and the same. Everything that you mentioned, entrepreneurship, like with my business, being able to speak, being a ghostwriter, even being a mom, being a grandmother, doing community events and activities, it's all the same, because it's about the person that I am, the soul and the spirit that I am. So being able to balance it for me is a joy. I don't look at it as a task, or like, ooh, there's not enough time in the day, because I control my time. So being able to have, very good structural and organizational skills, that's something that maybe a lot of people kind of struggle with, the organizational piece or being structured. But I know that in order for me to be successful, like, I have to have that part taken care of for me to be able to do all of those things successfully. One of the things that I no longer do, which I have to give kudos to one of my incredible, and I'm just going to call her my forever mentor, even though we have brief conversations now, but I'm not a a solid mentee of hers, but from time to time I still do reach out to her for information. One of the things that she always told me, and this is from 2016, 2017, 2018, when I was her mentee, she would always say, don't come to me and tell me that there's not enough time in a day. But again, that's a cliche that I had heard so long. It was ingrained in my mind. It was programs like, I need more time. I need more time. Well, there isn't any more time, as Steve Jobs and some of the others have said. I can't make that happen through osmosis. That's not going to happen. So, but what I can make happen is how I structure it. But what I do with every tick of my clock, and that's so very important, regardless whether you're an entrepreneur or not. The ticks of your clock, and I don't care if you're young, if you're older, or whatever, should be so important to you. So important.
I agree because time is the one thing you can't get back. You know,
Can't put a
um,
price on it.
I mean, once the time that we started this this show to now, we can't get that time back. It's gone. You know what I mean? So, that's what everything in life. Once the time is gone, there's no getting it back. So, what was the most surprising lesson that you learned while writing your autobiography?
That I actually had a wonderful life. It's funny because when we're in the moment, in the picture frames or going through adversity, obstacles, and whatever else, it's like you only see or are reminded of either bad stuff, challenging things, the red flags or whatever. But as I read each page and then truly had an opportunity to reflect and internalize, like, wow, I have some great people in my, wow, I'm a pretty good person. Or wow, like I went from this to here to up here to now it's over there. And it just gave me a different perspective about my life. Like life to me, and I would probably say for everybody else, is just what we're focusing on. But life is good. Life is really really great. So it just helped me to reflect on being grateful and being thankful more as I once I finished the book and then I went with my editor and I was able to kind of go back and forth with her. It just gave me such an appreciation for my life.
As someone who helps others with writing, with writing, with resumes and personal storytelling, what is the first step that someone should take if they want to craft a powerful personal narrative?
Honesty and truth. And see, that's something that a lot of people don't, because the shame of, okay, maybe you didn't finish school or maybe you didn't finish college or whatever. Like that resonates more than our accomplishments. But what we all will find is the more truth you tell in these stories or on your resumes or, whatever it is that you're trying to do in life, the more we align with other people. And then they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I think I will bring him on and, have him help me out with this task or with this team. Or, yeah, maybe I will give this person an opportunity because they were really honest. What I've seen in certain situations is people will embellish because they're ashamed or maybe a little rocky with how things have gone in their life. And then the truth is told. And then that's even bigger. That brings on even bigger problems. So I just really exhort my clients when they come to me and they say, okay, I want something that is indicative and that represents me. And I say, well, you need to tell the truth, whatever that looks like, because people resonate with the truth. If you think about it, the majority of the great speakers, orators, um, mentors, it's because they come from a place of truth. Like they are able to get on your level, they're able to meet you where you're at and then share their experiences, because then now you don't feel so embarrassed or you don't feel alone. You open up more and then you're saying to yourself, well, if she did it or if he did it, or gosh, you overcame that and look where you're at. So it just gives people hope, and it gives them a different outlook about themselves. So honesty and truthfulness is always the way to go in writing and storytelling. Now, of course, if it's fiction, if
Right.
it's something like that, truth doesn't need to be in any of that. But if you're telling, doing a documentary, autobiography, or definitely resumes, I would never tell anybody, yeah, you need to embellish a little bit on your resume and whatnot, because usually when you do that and then you get to the place and then they're like, oh, okay, they put this program in front of you and you told a lie that you could do it.
Mm-hmm. That's
or
right.
you got to produce some documents or something for something, some certifications that you really don't have. So
Mm.
truth and honesty is just always going to be the best way to.
So, what does struggles to strength mean to you, and how do you help others embody this concept in their lives?
It goes back to living vicariously through yourself, because as you live vicariously through yourself, you're going to make mistakes. The number one thing I solely believe in, and I try to be an advocate for, is turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones. That's so crucial because you're going to face adversity, you're going to face obstacles, but there's just something about having or going being able to go to the next level and the next phase, the next stage of your life when you can turn those struggles into strength. A lot of people, I think, feel like you already have to be strong in order to face adversity, but you don't. What you need is the deciding factor and the determination that I'm going to go through this, I'm going to go over it, I'm going to go around it, I'm going to go under it. This will not defeat me. And so that is what I mean when I say struggles to strength.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So, what was it like to share your personal story in the Woman Who Lead anthology? And how do you hope your story impacts other women?
Well, that was all about my entrepreneurial journey in which I was 100% honest because I think I had one young lady ask me, "When did you fall in love with entrepreneurship?" And before I knew it, I said, "I'm not in love with it. Like sometimes I dislike it. Sometimes it's like, oh, why did I even do this? Maybe I should just go back to corporate." I mean, like, I think people expect when you are a motivational speaker or somebody who inspires, like you're supposed to be positive and just in love with everything like all the time, in which I eventually train my brain to be positive, but I don't wake up as positive Penny, all the time. And it's so funny how people label you as this person who is supposed to be this pillar of strength. So I'm hoping that in all of my books that I've written, definitely in Women Who Lead, that they will see the bigger picture, the bolder picture, the brighter picture, but also the braver picture, like how I started something and then I struggle, had some success, struggled again, had some more success. But the key is that I keep striving. Like it will not beat me. I will not be defeated. I am unstoppable. And I just recently paid close attention to that word. Like I've been writing that at the top of my journals for like, I don't know, 10 years, blessed and unstoppable. And then I start with my agenda and my task. But I don't know if you're aware, but unstoppable means impossible to prevent or stop. Impossible. So to me, when I wrote my chapter in Women Who Lead and then other books that I have that are out there, just being unstoppable, I hope that that resonates with everyone because that's impossible. You cannot be stopped. Doesn't mean, you're not going to take a pause here or there or whatnot, but you will not be prevented. Bottom line.
Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone who feels stuck in a life they no longer resonate with, like you did with, back when you were an NFL wife?
First, let me say this because that sounds a little, like I just gave up or like I quit. And I guess in some small way, it is a quitting. But what are you quitting? I think we have to look at that, right? And so, what I was quitting was, or what I gave up on, or what I decided to do differently was being this negative energy or this negative force in the lives of my children and definitely my ex. Now, my children actually came with me. They decided that they wanted to live with me at that particular time than with my ex. But I had to look at the bigger picture for why I was deciding to leave. I had to actually say no, stop saying, yes to all of the negativity, the doubt, the fear, the nagging, different things that I was doing to him in the marriage and whatnot. And I had to just say yes to myself. And as we all know, that sometimes, or actually all the time, when you say yes to yourself, that means you're going to maybe go against some of the things with your family members or friends or your spouse or whatever the case is. And sometimes you can work through those things. Well, he and I just, we absolutely could not do that. So I would say you have to make a decision on what you really want in life and why you want it, and be okay with whatever the consequences or whatever the losses or the disconnects, because there are going to be some. Anytime you make a decision, there are some things that are going to go with you, going to be on a journey with you, and then there's some things that's going to fall by the wayside, and you have to be okay with that. And if you're not, then that probably means you need to have a little bit more conversation, figure that out before you do, because if you leap too early, or not early enough, it's like it really triggers, and it messes with your mind, and that's not a good feeling either. Like that whole in between thing, when people say, well, I got one foot in and one out, or gray areas. I don't believe in that, and I'm so glad that I have turned my words and my actions and my alignments, relationships, partnerships, all of that. I'm so glad that I don't have any of that, because that keeps you in a head space and in a heart space that you don't need to be in.
What do you wish you would have known before you became a full-time entrepreneur?
That I was going to have to continue to grow. It's funny because you hear people, their stories, and you see different things back then, that is, because that's been like almost, like I said, like 20 plus years. You see those things and you think that there's a level that you achieve a certain amount of, I don't know, wisdom or notoriety or whatever, and like that's it. But there's always another level of growing, another level of learning, another level of failing, another level of disappointment, another level of success. I mean, it's just always these levels, levels, levels. So I wish I had known that, because then I could have set my mind to, this isn't the end. And like, once you get here, or you have this amount of money, or you achieve this, like that. I wish I had known that earlier, because then, I would have been like I would have been in a better place.
That's understandable. So, what would you say to someone who feels they lack the confidence to transition into a new career or entrepreneurial venture?
Probably the first thing is check your environment, check your surroundings, check your support system, because if you feel like you can't do something, you should have like at least one person, two, three, four, that's like, no, you can do this. We will help you, or we will help you to, get whatever it is that you need, so that you can move forward. I know for me, I've always had very, very good, solid, and stable people around me. Not that I've always listened, but I've always had that. And I can't imagine feeling that stuck, like you can't do something. So, in my experience, I'm just going to say that if you feel that way, and it's like a definite, like you feeling that way, and you don't have people in your ear that are like, no, I believe you can do it. I mean, of course, you're going to have your naysayers, people that haven't done anything or don't have the vision that you have. Yeah, a lot of times they can't see it. And I have some of those around me that they can't see my vision, but it doesn't matter to them. All they know is, I want to do it, I want to achieve it, and they're going to support me. They're going to help propel me in any way. So I think if you have some of your viewers, your audience that's like that, or some people like that, maybe check your circle, because
Mm.
you should be able to overcome at some point. Not saying that it's going to be a overnight, or quick turnaround, and then it's not going to be steady, because I still have days and minutes and moments where a little bit of doubt creeps in, and I'm like, golly, just I don't really see a way over this, or I don't see a way through this. And I mean, it never fails. Then somebody in my support system, or maybe my grandchildren, or somebody that truly believes in me, will impart something or say something, and give me that spark, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's on. I'm back in the ring now.
Questions. What role has vulnerability played in your success as a speaker and author?
I mean, it's 100% the reason for my success. I think anytime you can be vulnerable, you can be honest, and you can be truthful, it negates anything, whether it's criticism. I'm not talking about constructive critique, because I do believe in that. But criticism, doubt, hatred, envy, jealousy, you're not bothered by it. The more honest you are with yourself, the more you understand that you are a human being, you are a soulful being, you are a physical being, you are a spiritual being that is experiencing different things, you care less and less what other people think or say. So, I mean, I don't think where I'm at now, there's no way I could have achieved this, because some of the things that I read, comments, and I don't internalize it, but some of the things that I see that people say about me, have said about me, said to other people to get back to me. I mean, I would have crawled over in a corner somewhere and never came back out, because I mean, a lot of those things are very very hurtful,
Mhm.
definitely very nasty sometimes. But because I'm so seated in who I am, and I've taken accountability and responsibility for all of my mistakes, all of my choices, good, bad, and otherwise, especially on this growth journey, I'm not phased by it at all.
As it should be. So, what does the phrase "from rags to riches" mean to you personally, and how has it influenced your work with others?
Well, let me add on to that, because it's actually rags to riches to reality. And the reason why I did that is because there's so many books and so many, people that have just talked about rags to riches. And I think when you tag on reality to that, then I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm able to tell my truth. I'm able to talk about my mistakes and my mishaps and everything else, because now it ties it all in. Like, okay, well, maybe I grew up in modest, had modest beginnings, and then because my ex-husband with the NFL lifestyle and different things, and then even now with different things that I'm afforded, the reality balances all of that out. So, sometimes I think people look at, when you say reality, when you say rags to riches, it's like, okay, well, I was poor, I was broke, or in poverty mindset, and now I have, and then they show yachts and private planes, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they show all of those things and whatever else, and it's like, that's it. But for me, when I decided on a title for my book, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to actually add one layer to it, which is reality. So that way I can pull it all together. I'm going to talk about, the rags. I'm going to talk about the riches, but then I want to talk about the reality which shares my growth journey. So that was important to me.
I like that. Um, so how do you feel people can use their past struggles and hardships to fuel their success, rather than letting them, rather than it holding them back?
Well, for one, you have to make a decision that you are taking accountability for the past struggles, whatever that is. And sometimes it may not have been your fault, and it still may not be your fault for different things that have come into your life, or, came by way of your life, you letting certain people in. But anytime I believe you take accountability for what you've done, it 100% helps you with what you can do or what you are doing. And that's just, it's like a pivotal point. I am constantly talking, it's more so now with my grandchildren, my mentees, my children, about different things from my past, and it's helping them, and I see that it's helping them. So to me, that's not, those aren't scars that I wear and like I'm ashamed, or like it's a problem. Now it's more like, okay, I'm going to tell you this story, and then you decide which way you're going to go with it. So to me, the path from the past, it's so pivotal. It's so pivotal, and it is definitely necessary.
So how do you? Okay, so how about this? What is the most important piece of advice that you could give someone who feels their dream is too big or impossible?
Well, first I would say, who implanted that message into your brain? who put that who put that programming into your brain? Because that's absolutely not true. But I do understand, because society is, to me, is like multi-dimensional. It's like one minute they're telling you you can, and the other they're sending messages you can't, and then you have all these other people in place that's like, some are like, They help you with your dreams, and others, they're dream killers. So it's just all over. But I think just being able to go beyond that, I guess, if you would, go above that and just understand that, okay, yeah, this is a pretty tall dream. And looking at my dynamics, or looking at, you know, what I've actually accomplished up until this point, and thinking there's more that I can achieve. I mean, you just have to really, really believe in yourself and tell yourself that no matter what, you can absolutely do it. And that is where that support system, I can't stress that enough. I have this original saying that check your circle, because some people in your circle are links and some are kinks. So you have to be so, so careful if you are believing, or if that's what's in the forefront of your mind, that I can't, then again, that's where people from your circle or your family, there should be some people surrounding you, supporters, to actually help you to get over that hurdle. You gotta check your circle, that's for sure.
Agree. I would agree. So, last question that I really have for you is, you know, with everything that you're doing, how do you maintain your mental health?
Ooh, one thing is, I do not play about it. Every single day I am doing something, whether it's downtime, disconnect, meditation, reading, journaling, every single day, massages, different things that I just put into my calendar to make sure that I am resetting, I'm rebalancing, I'm refocusing like I need to. Now, once upon a time, I would just go, 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 right? Because I'm like, oh, okay, I want to do this, trying to make the money. Then, I'm trying to make everybody happy as far as family, friends, and connections and whatever else. And I had to really take a pause and say, wow, I'm pouring all of this into other people, but what about me? Now, don't get me wrong, other people were pouring into me as well. However, here's the thing. It's so important that you pour into yourself first, because when you pour into yourself first, then you know how and why, and if somebody else or these other people are pouring into you the right way. If you don't ever do those things, like I'm gonna tell you, I am like the master, because when I first open my eyes and after I do my gratefulness and my thankfulness, I get up talking about, I'm the prettiest, I'm the baddest, I'm the greatest, I'm the smartest. Like, I mean, I look at myself, I'm like, I love you, Angela, I forgive you, I like you, I adore you, I believe in you, I trust you, to myself first. And then I think that helps me to balance out not only my day, but just me, my expectations of other people to me. And it by doing that, giving yourself what you need in forms of self-care and self-awareness, self-control, those things help set the tone in every area of your life, whether it's emotionally, mentally, physically, romantically, medically, like biblically, every area of your life will be leveled out. Now, I'm not going to say that it's not going to have some little blips from time to time, but it would make lives so much better when you can make sure that if don't nobody else take care of you, you're taking care of you.
That's right. I mean, that's the most important thing. I mean, you got to, like, what I always say is, because when me doing so much that I do, like with the podcast, with me working, with me running my other businesses and stuff, is I always have to make sure that I'm okay first before I can make sure anybody else is okay. Like, especially like with kids, right? How can I make sure they're good if I'm not where I need to be mentally? Because it's certain things that you have to be mindful of, and certain places that you have to be in a certain space to be able to provide for them. So if you don't manage that first, then you won't be able to make sure that they're happy or that they got what they need as well. So,
And it's not vanity or egotistical. It's so crazy how we've been programmed to think that. Like, if you're giving yourself a pat on the back, or if you are doing something for yourself, it's like, oh, well, you're selfish. Well, you have to be. You have to have a good balance of both. You can't just be selfless and not be selfish. The only way for you to be selfish is to be selfish with your time concerning different things that you need, or when you need that break or that disconnect. And you have to, because otherwise people will continue just plugging into you. Or can I have, can you come here? And at some point you really, and it's neat, and this needs to happen daily. Like, you really do have to, just carve out some time for, for yourself. So yeah, that is super important, that you take care of you first.
That's right. That's right. So I would like to take this time, Miss Angela, to tell you that I appreciate you and I thank you for coming on and having a conversation with me and talking to the audience as well.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Usually I'm sure there are certain ones that just apply, or they submit to come on, or they try to connect with you, and like there's really no topic or no rhyme or reason. But I, just as you guys vet the people that you have on your on your podcast and on your shows, I do the exact same thing, and I try to make sure that it's a good fit. So listening to some of your other guests, and then just reading about you, I said, yeah, I think this would definitely be a good fit, and I would like to connect and converse with his audience. So thank you for having me.
Oh yes, yes, no problem at all. No problem at all. Um, so everybody that's watching, you guys go to the show notes, go to the description. You'll see all of Angela's information, whether it's about her books, whether it's her social media, websites, all the above. You'll see all that below. Connect with her, support her in any way possible. We need more people like her. So you guys need to support her and with everything that you do. So yeah. But thank you all for watching. You guys have just watched another episode of All in All with Alex, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.